Now, not all of us have a lot of experience or maybe even a lot of good examples of what feedback ought to sound like for it to be most effective. So at this point, instead of talking about feedback, because that word has a negative connotation to most people, let's call it coaching. Let's call it coaching, meaning you are the coach, you're the person who's trying to encourage good behaviors and eliminate ones that could lose us the game, the project, the client, whatever it is. So when you think about coaching employees is most important to be specific. Being specific means you're telling them precisely what it is you like, that you'd like to continue, and what you'd like to change. And there doesn't have to be a positive, negative connotation on it. People will hear it in different ways. The impact will be different. The key ingredient is not positive or negative. The key ingredient is specificity. There's a fun word to say. Now, we all should start feedback conversations with permission. Asking permission is actually a step in the process that's often skipped, but asking permission gives the other person a seat at the table. It lets you share the power of the conversation that may be tough that we're going to have in a moment. And really what it's doing, it's protecting their dignity. You're not invading that other person's day with difficult conversations. You're not just saying, hey, we need to talk, my office. It doesn't give the other person really a choice. And when everybody has a choice, when everybody has buy-in to that conversation, usually that goes better. So start off with, is now a good time to have a quick chat about that meeting or that presentation? Is now a good time for some feedback? Is now a good time is a great way to ask permission. And what we're doing in that feedback conversation is we're doing one of two things. We're being specific, yes, but with that specific example, we're either validating that example or rubber stamping it or saying, I want to see more of this. This is good. Keep going. We're validating or we're guiding someone to say, hey, this could get easier or this could be less difficult or less stressful. It's guiding them to a path that might make things better for their day. That's the point of feedback. It's not about making your day better, the feedback giver. It's about guiding someone through so their day gets better, their workday gets easier. So validation doesn't have to be 5 stars, out of the park, dazzled everybody feedback. It doesn't have to be champion level behaviors or champion level items. It can be small things, the little things. And it doesn't have to be 5 stars, it can be 4 stars. It could be 3 stars even. Just what is something that you want to continue? That's just validating it, stamping it, and say, yes, keep going. And calling it out makes that person that much more likely to repeat it. On the other side, guidance, it doesn't have to be the worst of the worst or 1 star, this was awful, terrible Yelp review feedback, right? This could be guidance just to say, hey, I think this could get a little bit easier. Or hey, I think you could save some time. Or hey, I know that didn't go well. I have some ideas of how you can avoid this pain and misery you're in now. I have some ways you could avoid that in the future. It's offering changes that will make their day better, faster, more efficient. Now, ideally as a manager, this is an ideal goal, not an expectation. Ideally, you want to give more validating feedback than guidance feedback. An ideal ratio would be 6-1. This doesn't mean you have to say 6 nice things to them before you can say a mean thing to them. It means try and do more often. Try and catch them doing something good. Catch them doing something that you want to continue. And it's useful every time to validate maybe even the same behavior. And it's the small things, so you probably have lots of examples. Be hungry for those validation examples, more so in a 6-1 ratio than trying to catch them doing something bad or when things just go badly. It's more important to, there's a common analogy of investing in a bank account. It's more important to put deposits of validation to build up that credibility, build up that trust between you and your employee. On the other side, you do have to make withdrawals. You do have to guide and give tough feedback sometime. But the more validation that's already there, the easier it is to hear about our own performance. So by validating those little things, we're combining 2 parts of this equation. In the first box, you have to be specific. And what that means is just to describe something that everybody witnessed that anchors that conversation. So what actually happened? What were the words that they actually said? Or what did the email actually read? What was their body language if you're seeing them on Zoom or you see them in person? when you start with that specific thing, it means it's showing everyone this is based in reality. I saw this body language, I heard these words, I read this email, here it is. And so therefore you basically eliminate subjectivity as much as possible. You're trying to get everybody on the same page so we spend less time he said, she said, they said. You're doing more of a, okay, we all agree this happened. What are we going to do about it? So if it's a validation, a good thing, and you want to continue, what was that actual thing? Start with that. And then you layer on the commentary. What was the impact? How did that help? What was improved when you did that? What became easier when you did that? And that is basically showing your work. It's showing the example, coloring in the picture a little bit. And it works the same on the other side, but with validating feedback, it's really important to state, remember, first, ask permission. 2, be specific and anchor the conversation in something that actually happened. And then 3, here's the effect. It was really good. Our clients were really happy. It's now a good time to share some client feedback. It's good news, don't worry. When you sent those 4 bullet points with the next steps at the end of your email after our Zoom call, they said that was really clear and they really liked having those pointed steps. So keep doing that. That's a great way to send your emails. That's a full 1, 2, 3 quick step process of validating a behavior. And for a little more humorous example, Jimmy Fallon, who hosts The Tonight Show, does this segment on Friday afternoons where he'll do thank you notes, and they're usually pretty humorous. Actually, this example may not make sense. I'll cut to a clip in a little bit. We'll cut to a clip of Jimmy doing this. But more or less, when you're giving validation, you're writing a thank you note. You're saying, thank you for doing this specific thing. It's had a great impact. Now let's cut to a clip.
Thank you, door stoppers, for always making me think that someone dropped a tiny piece of chocolate cake on the ground. Oh, sorry. That's a door stopper, right?
I'm going to eat that chocolate cake.
Thank you, home improvement TV shows, for literally making me watch paint dry. I love them.
What color?
I'm getting addicted again.
Oh my God, I hope they have granite.
Thank you, liquid gel caps, for being gushers that went to med school. There you guys have it right there. Those are my thank you notes.
So Jimmy gives you the example when you need to validate behavior. It's writing a thank you note. Thank you for doing this specific thing. This worked out great. Here was the impact. Guidance works in a similar way. It's the same, being specific about what happened, and then it's talking about the outcome. But usually we feel the need to give that guidance when something wrong happened, or we did the wrong thing, or somebody was wronged in some way. And so it starts not from a very happy place. It starts with a tougher conversation. But it's the same exact ingredients. It's first asking permission. 2, it's talking about the specific thing that happened. What was the actual sentence that hurt someone's feelings? What was the actual statement in an email that was incorrect and we need to change? What was wrong on that slide that actually made it confusing rather than helpful? We need to be specific. And then we can talk about the impact. The client was really unhappy, or people thought that it sounded a little ill-informed when you said a lot of times in a speech. Whatever it is, we have to start with that specific thing and then talk about the impact. And to go back to the Jimmy Fallon example, we don't have to be stern. We don't have to be the principal, or the headmaster. We don't have to be the authority figure for feedback to work. What helps feedback work is when it's specific. When everybody agrees, yes, I remember that happening. Then a lot of the emotion just floats away. A lot of the defensiveness isn't needed anymore because it's not about who did that or who is in trouble or who's to blame. It's about talking about a behavior and what can go better or what could change so that we don't have that pain in the future. We don't have that problem in the future. So 2 things I want you to start doing. 2 things to do in the future. 1, set a calendar reminder, just a recurring note, set it to private if you want to, that you just call maybe thank you notes. And every week, write 1 piece of recognition, 1 piece of validation for somebody. 2 sentences is enough. Be specific in the first sentence. What was it? And what was the impact? How did that help? How did that make things easier? Set a recurring reminder and make it a habit, just like Jimmy Fallon on Fridays if you want to. Make it a Friday event. And second, a way to make the feedback conversation a little more comfortable, or at least comfortable to talk about our performance in a public venue, if you, the manager, show that behavior up front, you ask for feedback, asking for feedback about your presentations, about your emails, about your work situation. And most people will use this line. They'll say, let me know if you have any feedback. And I will tell you, not a lot of people respond to that one. It's not commonly, you don't usually get any information. It's kind of a throwaway phrase. Try something more like being specific. Try saying, please keep an eye on how I manage time during this presentation. We have an hour. I'm going to try and get done in 40 minutes so we can have time for questions. Can you just check on, kind of get a sense if I'm moving too slowly or too quickly, and let me know afterward. When you ask someone for something specific to look for, you'll usually get great information from them.